So thank you very much, Vinit Prabhu, Shilpi Mataji, for having us over. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. It's a very auspicious time of the year, 15 days before and 15 days after Diwali. It is known in our calendar as Kartik Maas, right? Most of us would know that. And Kartik Maas is considered the most auspicious time of the year in our Vedic astrology as well as in our calendars. And in fact, during this time, if you go to Vrindavan, you will find that there will be so many devotees, thousands and thousands of devotees from all over the world, and they come and they spend time in Vrindavan Dham. And the reason they spend time there is because they remember Krishna and his many pastimes. So today, later, you will be able to take darshan of the beautiful form of Lord Damodara, little Krishna, and he is being bound to the mota by Mother Yashoda. And this is a very famous pastime. It is found in Bhagavatam, it is also found in our sastras. And that's the reason why as devotees we come together. So what we will do today is to actually chant Krishna's names. And when we chant Krishna's names, we will be able to remember Krishna. That is very important. So let's chant Krishna's names. Now when we chant Krishna's names, we normally chant it in the style of kirtan or bhajan, depending on how you call it. And when we come together to chant, what's really important is singing the names of the Lord is not a ritual. Neither is it a performance. You've all come from Indian backgrounds, and if you've come from India, more. Like for me, I've been here for 3 generations. We are so far removed from India. But if you've come from India, then you should know that the tradition of kirtan is that it is dynamic. Dynamic means I will start chanting the names of the Lord. And when I finish, when I'm chanting, you should be carefully paying attention to the mantra. The more focused you are on the mantra, the more your man means your mind, becomes controlled. The whole aim of mantra is to ultimately control the mind. Man means mind, and tra means resting place. So mantra is a resting place for the mind. It is a spiritual vibration where if you chant it attentively, if you chant it lovingly, if you chant it with your heart, you will find that your mind becomes rested. If you try to perform or if you try to chant a material vibration, you will find that your mind becomes restless after a while. There's only so many times you can say something which is material. Generally, when people have discussions of material nature, after a while you get tired if someone is repetitive in nature, isn't it? You keep telling yourself, okay, you just said this 5 minutes ago. All right, you've just said this, you've made your point. Point taken, that's it. That's the nature of the material vibrations. But the spiritual vibrations are very different, because spiritual vibrations are not of this world, and because they are eternal in nature, you can chant them so many times, and still we feel completely replenished, we feel completely peaceful. And many of us have been chanting this mantra for years and years and years. And not just years, days, every day, for 2 hours, 3 hours, we chant this mantra. And still, if you ask us to chant it again, we will still be very happy to chant it. And that shows the power of spirit over matter. So when you chant this Maha Mantra that we will chant, my humble request is to really, really accept the mantra into your heart. Very important. And when you accept it in your heart and you chant it, then what happens is, after I have chanted, you hear. And then when I have finished the chanting, you should chant, right? And you chant it to the best of your ability. Krishna is not interested whether you're a professional singer or you're an opera leader or anything of that sort. What he's really interested in is how much you sing with your heart. That's all, right? So the more you are participative, the more engaging this spiritual exercise will be. The less participative you are, you find it very difficult. In fact, you'll be surprised. We do a lot of these yoga outreach programs where we invite people from the public to join us and chant once a month. Many of them are of non-Indian origins. Many are Chinese, Westerners, they have no background of any kind of introduction to Krishna. But when they chant it with their hearts because they embrace it on the basis of faith. And they chant it so well, and when they come out of the whole exercise, they become completely energized. And they become regulars in our chanting programs. So if those without even a background to understand who Krishna is can feel so much for the holy name, then how much we should be, because we are lucky and fortunate to be born into the culture. So this is very important for us. So please chant. It's very important to chant. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna Ki, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Yuga Dharma Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki, Jai Shri Yashoda Damodara Ji Ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Your turn. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Bol. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Bolo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna Ki. There is a shloka in Bhagavatam. Yatra idyante katham ristas trishnayaha prasammo yataha nirvaira sarvabhuteshu notvega yatra kaschana. It's a very practical verse, and you can think about it as we repeat the translation. It states that wherever members of the audience come together to hear anything about Krishna, yatra idyante katham ristas, if you hear anything about Krishna Katha, three things happens to the members of the audience. The first thing that happens to the members of the audience are trishnayaha prasammo yataha. Prasammo means to be satisfied. Trishnayaha means to have material hankerings. Whatever material hankerings that we have in the normal course of the day, by sitting down and hearing the spiritual vibrations of the holy name, and by hearing about Krishna, those material hankerings will subside within our hearts. You will find that in the last 10-15 minutes, if you were attentive to hearing the Lord's names, whatever material hankerings that were touching us, they're all outside with your footwear. They're not here, right? The second symptom of hearing Krishna Katha is nirvaira sarvabhuteshu. Nirvaira means to be absent of envy. Whenever we gather together in social functions, the general tendency for us, even if we want to avoid it, is to start comparing with each other. We do it, of course, in a more sophisticated way. As we grow up, as we get more educated, we tend to try and not show it. When we were younger, probably we did that more often. But despite the sophistication that we may have, the truth of the matter is we're always at the level of comparing with each other. You have something I don't, I have something you don't. And if we're not careful, it becomes what we call subtle envy. But in the gathering where we put Krishna in the center, that envy will be absent. You will not be, nobody's looking at each other to see who's wearing what, how much jewelry she has, or what car he's driving. That doesn't become an important consideration for us. And the third very important effect of Krishna Katha is that when the members of the audience hear about Krishna, notvega yatra kaschana. Udvega, vega means fear. Udvega means great fear. Na udvega means no fear. So whenever we are trying to hear anything about Krishna, whatever fear that we may have in our hearts, it is dissipated. Sometimes people come and tell me that I don't have any fear in my heart, I'm doing all right. But Bhagavatam tells us that even if you don't have an express fear, almost all of us have the cousin of fear, which is anxiety. Anxiety is always there. And very often we have anxiety over the most simplest of things. Maybe your anxiety level on a weekend is a bit low, but come tonight and tomorrow, then your anxiety, depending on what vocation you are and what you're doing, you are going to feel it. I've been in practice for 26 years, and every time I have to step into court to do a trial, my anxiety level always goes up. It doesn't go down. It doesn't matter how many years you've been doing something. The fact is, if you have to perform something which is material by nature, by default, anxiety is always there. But if you are grounded in Krishna Katha, if you're chanting regularly, if you have a program of what we call spiritual life, not merely as a performance or a ritual or something that you have to do it in a hurry and get on with life, then that really helps with your mind. It helps with your spirit also. So today, the Krishna Katha that we are going to hear is something that has been spoken about in our scriptures. It is from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it happens actually on the actual day of Diwali, right? So on the actual day of Diwali in Vrindavan Dham, Mother Yashoda, the mother to Krishna, woke up in the morning of Diwali. She dressed herself up very beautifully. Bhagavatam tells us that she wore this saffron yellow color sari. She had wonderful malati flowers, and she prepared herself very nicely because it was Diwali. She woke up and she saw that all her maidservants in the house were engaged with so many other chores. So she decided to do the most important thing that she considered, and that was to actually churn butter for Krishna. In Vrindavan, Krishna's relationship with his devotees are very personal. Very often, we have this misguided conception that God is impersonal. But if you read Shastras very carefully, you will realize that the highest realization of God is when he is personal. When you want to have a relationship, you always have a relationship on a personal level. It is very hard to get close to someone if you say that we are very impersonal with each other. It just doesn't work even in the normal realm of things also. So in Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda considered Krishna to be her son. Even though all Shastras tell us that Krishna is Ishwaraha, Parama Krishnaha. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because Krishna's love for Mother Yashoda was so great, he agreed to play the part of the perfect child. And so he was sleeping on the morning of Diwali. And Mother Yashoda decided, let me use this time while Krishna is sleeping to churn butter for him. Now, for those of you who may remember, there was a time when maybe our grandparents and the parents before that would churn butter in India. And it is not easy. I've seen it in the villages. It takes some kind of endeavor, right? And therefore, Mother Yashoda did not mind the endeavor. Because even though she was performing an endeavor early in the morning on the day of Diwali, nevertheless, that endeavor was very sweet for her because she was absorbed in remembering all the pastimes of Krishna. When you hear about the pastimes of Krishna, you realize you can hear them over and over again and you don't feel bored. But if I were to tell you my pastime of what I did today, you just give me maybe 5 minutes and then we're done. When we go for parties and social functions, what happens when two people talk? They tend to share pastimes with each other. But frankly, each other's pastimes are never as exciting as Krishna's pastimes because they're all material in nature. But Krishna's pastime is very enlivening. So Mother Yashoda was remembering all Krishna's pastimes. And even though she was performing what essentially was a mundane activity, just churning butter, because her consciousness was absorbed in Krishna, that mundane activity was actually an offering to Krishna. This is the same principle in the Gita. Krishna told Arjuna to fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, even though Arjuna was more inclined to leave the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And he gave so many reasons in the first 2 chapters to leave. But ultimately, Krishna's satisfaction was a higher consideration to Arjuna than his own satisfaction. And that is the mood of a devotee. So Mother Yashoda was very compliant because she was always devoted to Krishna. And so she wanted to do the butter because she knew it would please Krishna. She also knew, and you know also, that Krishna was a very highly famous butter thief. And that he made it a point when he was very young to steal butter from Vrindavan. He had the best butter in his house. Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj owned 900,000 cows. And from those cows, they chose the best of the cows. And from the best of the cows, they chose the cows to graze with the best of the grass. And from that grass and the grazing, the cows produced the best of the milk. And despite having the best milk and the best milk products, Krishna was stealing from the neighbor's house every day. But then we don't realize that the reason why Krishna was stealing butter from the other gopis' houses was because Krishna was not only the object of love for his mother, he was also the object of love for all the gopis and residents of Vrindavan. So everyone in their hearts secretly always desired, Krishna, I wish I could feed you. I wish I could play with you. I wish I could give you milk. I wish you would take my butter. And so Krishna actually inadvertently fulfilled all their desires by stealing butter from them. And not only did he steal butter from them, he was exceedingly mischievous because when he was caught red-handed and brought before Mother Yashoda, and the gopi would say, we caught him stealing butter, He would stand before his mother with butter in his mouth and his hands and say, "Mother, I did not steal any butter." And Mother Yashoda would look at her son with love, the gopis would start smiling, and the whole situation would just become something very wonderful. This is the beauty of spiritual life. In spiritual life, even reverses in a devotee's life can actually become a source of understanding, a source of realization. This is very important for us to understand. When a devotee goes through difficulties, the devotee doesn't go through it like a materialist. The devotee sees the hand of Krishna in it. So Mother Yashoda churned butter, and as she was churning, she remembered Krishna. And then Krishna came out, he woke up. He came out and he actually touched her sari, and he indicated to her that I want to have milk. He couldn't speak, but he indicated to her. So then what did Krishna do? Mother Yashoda became so happy that she put him on her lap and she started feeding him milk. That was the perfection of her existence in the morning of Diwali. But then sometimes, even when we take up Krishna consciousness, we will find that Krishna will test our resolve. The more a devotee is serious about Krishna, the more Krishna will test our resolves. You know, I see so many pictures here which are put up on the walls. Now, if you had put up these pictures on the walls, you would have drilled a hole, you would have put a nail into the wall. And then before you actually place the picture on the wall, anyone worth his salt who knows how to put up pictures would have tested the nail first. Isn't that so? Instinct, right? You test the nail first. You test it because you want to be sure that before you frame that picture, the nail is ready to take the load. That's what Krishna does with devotees. When Krishna knows you are serious about him, he will test you. Just like you test the nail, he will test your resolve. Because Krishna can give you so much of material benedictions. He can give you a good house, he can give you good wives, husbands. These are all material. But they will come and go eventually. How many lives we had wives and husbands? We cannot remember any one of them. Some people say thankfully, but we can't remember them. And in this life, we think that this is my only wife and this is my only life. But once this life is gone, whatever that we had said sweetly to our wives and husbands will count for nothing in the next life again. This is the truth of material nature. But in spiritual nature, whatever that you have done in this life is actually carried forward. And this is confirmed in the Gita. It is carried forward into the next life. Which is why sometimes you wonder, how come children or older people or younger people, all of a sudden in their lives, they have a transformation and they seem to become very spiritual. Why does it happen at that time? Because that's exactly where you stopped in your previous life, and it's time to continue. This is very important. Some of the children here, for example, she's very young, right? She's born into a family of devotees and she takes it up very nicely, right? My son, he's born into Krishna consciousness, so even if I don't tell him to come and play mridanga, he'll still come and play mridanga. Because it has been a carryover from previous lives. We see it. We see it. These children are also exposed to everything material. They have a very balanced life. They have their friends and everything else, but they are attracted to Krishna. So therefore, spiritual life is very powerful. And when Mother Yashoda was put in a dilemma, she was actually being tested by Krishna. What was the dilemma? She had put milk in the kitchen, on the stove, and it was meant for Krishna. And it was boiling, and it was threatening to boil over. Now she was feeding Krishna, but she wasn't finished yet. And you know, a hungry child is an angry child, right? If he hasn't finished his feeding, he's going to throw a tantrum. But she thought, I need to save the milk. So she went into the kitchen, and Krishna was put on the floor. And then Krishna decided, my mother has put me on the floor, I haven't finished drinking milk, I'm very upset. And so Krishna said, let me punish my mother. Just like children do to parents. You all have had children. You know how when you want to give something to the children, you promise them something, they don't get it, they become very upset with you. They become very upset with you. Krishna played the perfect part of a very, very delinquent child. And so Krishna decided, let me teach my mother a lesson. He took a stone and he broke the pot that Mother Yashoda was churning butter in. All the butter came out. And Krishna thought, this is very nice because I love butter and now I can eat butter. But children are also like that. They perform an act they shouldn't do and then they regret because they know then that they're going to be in trouble. So Krishna realized now Mother Yashoda is going to come back. So what did he do? he decided, let's run away from the scene of the crime. And so he left. Mother Yashoda comes back thinking she saved the milk. She needs to now feed Krishna, but Krishna is not there. And she sees the scattered milk and butter all over. And she realizes that this is Krishna's doing. But Mother Yashoda is not angry. Bhagavatam tells us Mother Yashoda was smiling because she was thinking that this Krishna is very intelligent. He's not sitting here with me because he knows that he's going to be in trouble. But today I need to discipline him. And she decided, better I take a stick and go and see him. I'm not going to use it on him, but probably as a deterrent that may be helpful. So Mother Yashoda starts walking into the storeroom because Krishna's lotus feet are everywhere. They have been smeared with butter and you can see him walking through. She enters into a hall which is very big and it's like a storage hall. All the butter that she has churned, they are kept very high in the ceiling so that Krishna will not reach them. But she sees an amazing sight. Krishna is standing on a mortar. You all know what a mortar is, right? Pestle and mortar. There you are, that's a mortar. It's actually used for grinding spices. So Krishna was standing on the mortar and he was tiptoeing and he had a stick and he was breaking pot after pot and butter was just flowing. But he was not alone. He was actually with his best friends, the monkeys of Vrindavan. How many of you have been to Vrindavan anyway? Very nice. If you've been to Vrindavan, you would know that there are many, many monkeys in Vrindavan, right? And you would also know that the monkeys in Vrindavan, particularly, they like your glasses. If you're wearing your glasses, then they will tell you to be very careful. I remember going there and I just couldn't wear my glasses and I'm so badly sighted that if I take it off, I probably can't even see Vinit Prabhu sitting there. I won't know who he is even. It'll be very difficult. So when I went to Vrindavan, half the time I couldn't see anything. The only time I could see things was when I entered these shops to buy clothes for the deities. There I could sit down. And one day I was complaining to the shopwala and I told him that, I can't see anything in Vrindavan. And he said something really nice. He said, don't see Vrindavan with your eyes. You should see Vrindavan with your heart. And that's what Yashoda Mata was doing. She was seeing Krishna with her heart. And she saw the monkeys. And she thought, these monkeys and Krishna, no wonder they're good friends because they have the same proclivities. And Krishna was feeding the monkeys with butter. And the monkeys were feeding him back. To Mother Yashoda, it was an act of mischief. But the Shastras tell us that there was a deeper meaning to this exchange. These monkeys were the same monkeys who served Lord Ram in Ram Leela. At that time, they were known as the Vanaras. Sugriva, Angada, Hanuman, they're all known as Vanaras, right? We see them looking like monkeys, but the actual term is Vanaras. At the end of their service to Lord Ram wanted to give them the benediction. Ask whatever you want from me and I will give it to you. But these Vanaras and devotees, they don't want anything material from Krishna. And they said, Krishna or Lord Ram, whenever you come back again to Krishna Leela, whenever you come back to this world, let us come back again to serve you. That's all we want. That is the highest satisfaction we can ever get. That's it. That's all they wanted. And so Krishna fulfilled that. Because when he came back as Krishna, these monkeys came back in Vrindavan as his best friends. And they fulfilled the need for them to serve him, but he also fulfilled the need to serve them. This is the reciprocation of the Lord and his devotees. But when they saw Mother Yashoda, then they all fled. And the only person who was left was Krishna. And when Krishna had his back to the door, so he didn't know who it was. But of course, when the monkeys left, he was very sure it was his mother. And when he turned, he saw his mother. And his mother was fine, but the stick wasn't fine. And so he got down from the mortar and he started running. And he ran and ran and ran. And Mother Yashoda thought, he's a small boy. It's going to be a matter of time before I catch him. But the more she tried to catch Krishna, the more elusive Krishna was. Krishna couldn't be caught. Shastras tell us that yogis are chasing after Krishna. Tyagis are chasing after Krishna. Munis and rishis are chasing after Krishna. Even demons are chasing after Krishna. But no one can catch Krishna if he doesn't want to be caught. Because he is supreme and he is Swarat. Swarat means he's independent. He will decide when he can be bound. When Mother Yashoda became very tired and she endeavored very hard to get Krishna, then she surrendered to him. And she said, Krishna, I'm not able to catch you. Please let me catch you because I need to catch you and make sure you don't go and steal milk again or butter again. And so at that point of time, Mother Yashoda received the benediction of Krishna. Now this is a very important philosophical point for all of us. In devotional service, there are two components for success. One is the sincere endeavor of the devotee. The other is the mercy of the Lord. Without the endeavor of the devotee, it is very difficult to get the mercy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, it is ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. To the extent that you surrender to Krishna, to that extent Krishna reciprocates. Sometimes, as Hindus, we have this idea. We tell people, I don't have to spend so much time with God because He's in my heart. Right? Why do I have to sit down and chant? Why do I have to host a program? Why do I have to spend every day reading about Krishna? He's in my heart. You try doing that with your wife or your husband. Try, right? Diwali is coming. She wants something from you, some sari, something, some reciprocation, and she gets nothing. And when she asks you that, you say, you are in my heart. I don't have to give you anything. I don't have to say anything to you. You see what happens? See if you can get prasadam from the kitchen. You won't get anything. So in the material world, we understand that that is a fallacy. But we are very smart to use that when it comes to the Lord. Because we don't want to put our heart into it. And frankly speaking, we are so enamored by material things around us that we really put Him not on a high priority. When things get really bad and our health is going and our wealth is gone, then in a sense of emergency, we may start to think about Krishna. But that's emergency mode. That's very different from having a loving relationship. I'm sure you've come across what we call fair weather friends, isn't it? Fair weather friends are friends who will call you that one day in the year. And you know why they're calling you, because they need something. And after that, Haribol, you will never hear from them at all. That's what we have become to Krishna. Fair weather friends. That's what we want to be. So this is really a wake-up call for us. Shastra doesn't just speak about a story of Krishna, which is very nice, and it's all sentimental, and we go home and everything is okay. It is meant to change the way we think. That's why it is here. That's why this katha is so important. And so Mother Yashoda, because of her surrender to Krishna, Krishna agreed to be caught. And then he agreed to be bound. She brought him to this mota, and she said, Krishna, stand still now. I'm going to tie you. At that point of time, Krishna exhibited fear towards his mother. You see his hands? His hands are like that. Because he's very fearful. Why is he frightened? Because of that stick. He thought that his mother was going to beat him. And therefore, Bhagavatam says it was an amazing sight. Krishna had ointment, kajal, Every morning, Mother Yashoda would apply thick kajal on him. But because of his crying, all the ointment was just filtering down his cheeks. His jewelry was all shaking because he was trembling in fear of his mother. Bhagavatam has a nice line. Vaktram niniyam bhaya bhavanaya stitasya. Bhagavatam tells us that it is amazing that fear personified is fearful of Krishna. Mrityu, death itself is fearful of the Lord. How can it be that the Lord was fearful of just an ordinary person like Mother Yashoda? Because of love and devotion. He played the role of a child. And he showed how subordinate he was to his mother. And Mother Yashoda's heart melted. And she thought, no, I'm not going to use the stick. I'm going to put the stick down. So when you come forward later, you'll see that Mother Yashoda's stick is just next to her. Right? It's not picked up. She's put it down. And she thought, let me do something else, Krishna. Let me tie you. So Krishna stood by the mota. She took the ropes and she began tying him. The only problem was when she brought the rope around him, she found it was 2 inches short. She got more rope and she brought them together. 2 inches short. She got a little bit more rope and it was still 2 inches short. She got as much rope as she could from the house. And by then all her neighbors had come also. And they were watching the spectacle. But Krishna could not be bound. This is the very important significance of two fingers, 2 inches short. The first inch represents your endeavor. And the second inch represents the mercy of Krishna. Mercy of the Lord is attracted by the extent of your endeavor. When you have rain and it's pouring across a country, it may pour across 2 parcels of land. One parcel of land could be completely barren and the other fertile. But the rain that it is receiving on both parcels are equal. But no matter how much rain falls on barren land, you will never get fertile crops because the land is barren. But a little rain could fall on very fertile soil and so much crops could grow. That is the relationship between endeavor and mercy. When a devotee's heart is open to the mercy of Krishna, the mercy is well received. But when a person is closed in heart to Krishna, then no matter how much mercy there is, there's no point because the heart is closed. Mother Yashoda's heart was completely open to Krishna. And so Krishna received her endeavor and he gave her his mercy. And finally, when she surrendered to the Lord agreed to be bound and he became tied. And Mother Yashoda sighed with relief because now her Diwali can begin. Because finally, Krishna is peaceful. Now, if you read Krishna Leela, in the morning she started churning butter. In the afternoon, she chases Krishna. In the evening, she finally gets to bind him. And an entire day just gone in the service of the Lord. And she leaves. But Krishna has one last thing to do in this pastime. He decides that he wants to crawl. You can't hold Krishna down for long. So Krishna starts crawling. The motor, which is vertical, turns horizontal. And it starts moving with Krishna. And Krishna moves towards the end of the garden in his courtyard. And there are two very beautiful Yamal Arjuna trees, very big trees. And he goes between them. The motor gets stuck, but he pushes, and the trees come down with a crash. In their place are two beautiful devatas. And Krishna smiles at them and asks them, who are you two beings and why are you trees? And at that point of time, the two devatas say, we are trees because once upon a time we were the sons of Kuber. You all know Kuber, right? And we were very proud of our wealth and we were very, very intoxicated with our pride. So we got into very bad habits like intoxication and we forgot the purpose of life. One day we were drinking and in a drunken stupor we were bathing and then we had no clothes on and Narada ji, who is the great devotee of the Lord, passed by. And we came out and stood before him with no clothes on. You know, it is basic etiquette that if you see a sadhu, you should behave well before a sadhu. But they didn't do that. And Narada looked at them. He had a lot of compassion in his heart. And he told them, since you two have no value for the understanding of human life, and since you don't like to wear clothes, I think it's better you just become trees. Since trees don't wear clothes, become trees. And since your consciousness is so low, it is better you become trees. But my prayer is that you will become trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. And I pray that one day Krishna will be there and he will deliver you from your ignorance and your pride and your intoxication. And that prayer of Narada was 10,000 years ago in the timeline of Vedic time. But Krishna never forgets a prayer of a pure devotee. And he remembered that prayer. And he then told these two boys, Devarishi Priyattamo, I have nothing to do with you, my dear boys, because you never prayed to me. And yet, because my dear devotee, Devarishi, Narada, is very Priyattamo, very, very dear to me, whatever that he wants fulfilled, it becomes my duty to fulfill it. And so therefore, on account of him, I will now deliver you. Such a nice point. And Krishna said this with transcendental humor. You know how he said it? He said, I will now free you from the bounds of your material nature. Even though, and he looked at himself, I am still bound. I am still bound, but I can free you from your bondage. Because Krishna's binding was not the binding of matter. His binding was the binding of love of a devotee. But these two boys were bound to the material world on account of material nature. And so thus ends the pastime. This is just one pastime in a whole series of pastimes in Krishna book. And just this one pastime, if you really delve into it, you realize that there are so many facets of philosophy and practical living that are found in the pastimes. These pastimes are not meant to be spoken just amongst uneducated, unsophisticated people. They are meant for all people because they have so much to give. If only we had the time, the patience, the resolve to actually hear them. That's why it is stated by the gopis, Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmasapaham shravana mangalam shrimaratatam bhuvi granantiye bhuride janaha. The gopis sing in Gopi Geet. They say, Krishna, tava kathamritam. Your kathas are amrit. And tapta jivanam. Your kathas are our very life and our very soul. This is bhakti. So we invite you to take this beautiful pastime of Krishna into your hearts. Keep it in your hearts. And every day till the 16th of November, right? That's the end of Kartik Mass. Every day you light a lamp. Light a lamp for Krishna. And you should light a lamp specifically for the form of the Lord as he is here, tied by his mother. Right? Now, in case you don't have such a picture, I have today brought beautiful pictures. And I'm going to give this to each family. You take it back with you, you put it on your altar, and every day in the morning and evening, you light a beautiful ghee lamp for Krishna, and you remember this pastime. And this will bring so much bhakti into your heart. All other things in material world will come and go. But bhakti is very elusive. It all depends on how much of heart you put into Krishna. Thank you very much for your time. Vineet Prabhu, thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak about Krishna. It's so nice. Now what I intend to do is this. You have some ghee lamps here, right? Okay? And I think you're going to do it based on families. So what I will do is, I think we need to give a little space here. Maybe we move this a bit, and I'll move this here. Now, traditionally what happens is, we tend to sing a particular ashtakam, known as Damodara ashtakam. But it's a very specific prayer, right? So my suggestion is, to make it easier for everyone, today we will chant the Harekrishna mantra, just like we chanted in the beginning. Everyone knows it. It's so easy to chant. You don't have to worry about the lyrics. You can concentrate on the name. So my suggestion is, I'm going to start chanting, and then Mataji, you will be here, and everyone, and you can call the families or the representatives or the families can come forward, light a ghee lamp, right, and offer it to Krishna, offer it to Jagannath. Beautiful deities of Jagannath you have, right? Jagannath is Lord of the universe, and therefore his mercy is very amazing. What should you pray for? Don't pray for anything material. We can do better than that. The best prayer we can pray is, Krishna, kindly let me have an opportunity to actually serve you in one form or the other. Service is the platform of love. Service is the symptom of love, actually. If you love someone, you serve them. You always serve them because you love them. So try to have that prayer in your heart and offer it to Krishna. Is that all right? Prabhu, I think this should move. This should not be here. Move it so we have space then. Okay, so let's chant Krishna's names and chant them as loudly as you can. And then Mataji, I leave to you. The Matajis are here to assist you if you need anything. Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Radha Ramanji. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jaya Radha Ramana 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 Hari Bol, Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Mataji, you are supposed to light the lamp down here. We don't have that, so you're lighting that, okay. Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. I can't hear anyone. You're all very, very soft. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, जय श्री यशोदा दामोदर जी की, जय श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की, जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। Thank you very much, Vinay Prabhu. Thank you very much, Mataji. And thank you to all the guests, all your friends. Thank you to your parents for being here and giving us your blessings. Our meeting is not accident, it's always arrangement. There's a reason why we must meet now. Nothing is random when it comes to Krishna. Please think about these things. They have value. They have changed the lives of so many people, and they will bring you peace. Thank you. And Krishna willing, we will see each other again at some point. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.